Hi, this is Lance Wallnau, and I haven't had a chance to give you guys some news updates in a while, but I am frankly a little concerned that already Christians in particular are disconnecting from the nature of what's happening, even before Trump is in office. What I've called the chaos candidate, God's chaos candidate, is already not only creating chaos, but he is facing the chaos as news sources continue to attempt to delegitimize his election. Now, I said in this book, God's Chaos Candidate, that America was going to go through its fourth crucible. And all of the enthusiasm and even the prophetic exuberance that suddenly a surge of optimism has come over the country, where there was very few optimists about Trump even being elected prior to the election. Now I'm worried that the optimism is wrongly placed. It required 84% of Christians to vote and participate as citizens in shaping what happened to this government. That's the highest percentage of voting that has ever historically happened. It's unprecedented in electoral politics. The highest percent, I think, was George Bush with like 74% of Christians voting for him. It's going to require the engagement of that 84% to be able to take on what Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump, is going to be facing in January when he gets inaugurated. As the 45th president, he is going to be rebuilding the wall like Nehemiah in troubled times. Let me give you some ideas as to what's happening. I'm going to talk to you in a second about the Russian hacking, supposedly, about the left's rejection of Trump's legitimacy, first with the popular vote issue, and now with the question of the integrity of the election being tampered with by Russia. It's as though the left cannot come to grips with the fact that they did not win, and in their hysteria, they're continuing to fabricate one desperate scenario after another in order to persuade the American public that this is an illegal occupant in the White House. But President Obama's economic record is what Trump has to deal with. And I want you to understand this. Just because he's in office didn't turn the economy around. We have 95 million Americans out of the labor force. We have almost 13 million on food stamps. Over 43 million are living in poverty. 1 in 5 families is without someone in the workforce, and 1 in 6 men ages 18 to 34 are either incarcerated or out of the workforce. And President Obama has incurred and accumulated more debt than all other presidents combined. And that brings us up to close to 20 trillion. We are skating on extremely thin ice, my friends, in terms of the condition America's in. And I'm saying that the crucible is right in front of us and Trump is the man to navigate. But how do we show up and where do we show up? What's really going on with these supposed cyber attacks is an evidence of the degree to which the major news outlets are in collusion with the Democrat talking points, so that they're literally following the same narrative down the wrong road. And this is taking us into some very high territory now, because the CIA is chiming in on one side and discussing the supposed origin of Russian hacks into the Democratic Party, and the FBI is on the other side of this saying regarding Russia and any hacks that have happened to the Republican Party, there is no evidence that any hacking got into the Republican database at all. And why this is important is because we've got to, as Christians, we've got to recognize that there are very powerful institutional forces that are shook up by Trump's presence. And we're going to have to go under the surface to look at how did Podesta's emails get leaked. We found out it wasn't Russians at all. It was what's called a phishing site. In other words, he accidentally accessed and signed into a site that gave access. It was probably bad IT advice someone gave him, but he opened himself up to an amateur level hack through a phishing site. And so the origin of that, and by the way, Snowden has come out and said that he will categorically say that his source for what he was revealing was not Russia at all. Now, what that leads us to is the source was someplace else. The source is most likely disgruntled insiders in the Democratic Party who were upset over how Sanders was treated once the revelations came out in WikiLeaks, once the revelations came out, period, regarding Sanders not being, them attempting to basically make sure that he couldn't get the nomination. I think the sources will eventually be proved to be coming out from the Democratic Party itself. But when you have the major media outlets and you have some institutions in government disagreeing with the FBI and with the facts, then what you know is that there's a desire for a narrative to be shaped that Russia caused Trump to become president. So I'm going to go to the 7M Underground right now, which is 7munderground.com is where we dig into this stuff. And I'm going to get into the facts on what's going on with that and the Pope's very unusual announcement likening Joseph and Mary to Muslim immigrants trying to get into countries that don't let them in. And so we're just going to have to take these things on as they come out. 7munderground.com is where I'm going to go next. But it's always good to talk to you guys, and I'll see you there.